daughter's first cousin is Miss Ruth Clark of East St. Louis, Missouri. She keep me plugged in all the time on all the old stories of old time Mississippi. She told me in the 40s we had 3 cousins in our family. 2 of them was illiterate and 1 was well-read that left the Delta heading toward Detroit. The one driving was the one that was well-educated. And when he got sleepy, he told one of the cousins to drive and just stay on this road. Whatever you do, don't leave the path of this road. After he dozed off for 1 or 2 hours, one of the other cousins saw a sign on the side of the road and he stopped. "Hey, we here. And the other cousin that was well-read woke up and said, "Nigga, that don't say no Detroit, that say detour." So that brings me to what I'm talking about now. Long years ago, scientists, doctors, the government, everybody scared us with the AIDS. I mean, it was so brutal looking at people that you love and seeing that they would meet their demise on a slow decline, I mean. All these years later, they came up with something called the COVID. And the COVID is the whole boogeyman compared to what the AIDS was. The COVID could take you out in a week. The AIDS, you could walk around, go to the dance, you can enjoy yourself, you could set up some insurance policies. Anyway, 2 years ago, which would have been 2021, that boogeyman knocked at my door. I don't know how I contracted this thing, but I knew something was wrong. I just had a little raspy throat. I took myself to the hospital. They couldn't diagnose me or whatever, so they gave me a little boost and let me go. I felt a lot better after the IV and medication. The next day, I was back down, bad. Unable to get out of the bed. I was so weak. I was so tired. And I didn't know that every time I coughed, I should have spit out the mucus. I was swallowing it. My daughter eventually came to the house, my daughter eventually came to the house and took me to the hospital. When she took me to the hospital, I was so sick, I passed out in the emergency room. The next thing I knew, I was awakened by a doctor telling me that I had severe pneumonia and COVID Delta variant, which is another strand of the deadly virus that just took over the world a couple years ago. So that shook me up. She was telling me my blood pressure wasn't high, but I knew that because I don't eat red meat, and that made my blood pressure go away. But she told me I was sick enough to get on the ventilator, and she warned me that the 3 people that they put on the vent earlier that week, all 3 of them had passed. So I remember I remember passing out again. Next thing I knew, I was in the hospital bed upstairs, about 3 or 4 stories up in the hospital. Man, look, this thing had me down so bad. I didn't know what the fever was about. I didn't know none of these things. I just thought maybe if I just kept drinking, it would get better. This thing was so bad, every time I hit that cough, it gave me the heebie-jeebies in my lungs, man. It did me so bad. The guy that was sitting next to me, laying next to me in a bed, he had tubes. He had it too. He had tubes all in his private parts, all down his throat. It was messed up, man. It was bad. And, laying in that hospital, I didn't think that I was going to make it. The cough, the laying in the bed and not being able to move from this respiratory illness. And I would like to say this to all the people that lost their family members with this deadly disease, with this deadly virus or whatever it was. COVID-19 was something nobody saw coming. I think the government saw it coming, but maybe the public didn't know. We didn't know whether to take the vaccination or whatever the case may be. And I know it'll be people that, get on to me about a few things or whatever, but, I felt bad by not going to take it. I don't know why I felt like that. I just felt like that. You understand? And this thing was so bad that it made me twitch. It kept me not even I couldn't get up out the bed to walk to the bathroom. You know, getting out the bed and walking to the bathroom might have took me, man, about 10 minutes to do that. This in the hospital, and they didn't have anything that they could give me, give the next person. They went back and looked and saw that I read in an interview that the AIDS never killed nobody. It was the medicine. So when we saw people's dwindling away with their hair getting slick and their eyes falling in and couldn't eat and couldn't hold no food down, this was the cause of, you know, the so much of medicine that you was taking, and it was weakening your immune system, making it weaker than what it was already was. You understand what I'm saying? So this COVID broke me down. It did a job on me. I mean, it done a number on me. I lost 26 pounds in 2 weeks. I had a sweatsuit on. I fell in the sweatsuit. My navel, inside my navel, felt like it was always juicy. I mean, it had me just a tremble. Like I couldn't put it together. And I was seeing that this thing attacked people different. It attacked people different than what one person might went through, the next person might didn't go through. You know, by the time I made it home, I had to get on a breathing machine. I was on a breathing machine from August of 21 all the way until February of 22. So I couldn't do nothing. I was weak. I was tired. I was out of breath. Everything. It was everything. I lost my taste. I lost my smell. I lost everything. So this boogeyman called COVID was a master butcher. It just chopped people's up. I mean, it chopped them down, man. I'm talking about, it was so scary that you could have family members coming over to your house and you didn't even trust them. You know, having on a mask made things a little bit more difficult, because now you can't breathe from the nose or the mouth. You got to have that mask on. And, you know, walking in the store, you used to could sneeze, achoo, and everybody in the store holler, bless you. When this thing ripped through the world, you could sneeze in the store and people will turn around. They running behind you with Lysol. People walking in buildings, they got big cans of Lysol. They didn't know where it was coming from. We didn't know. So I wanted to dedicate this, to come in and do this work, and dedicate it to all the people that lost their lives to the COVID-19 thing, because I went through it. And I know if you contracted what I had, and if you met your demise, it ain't nothing you could have done.